Okay, so I made a video a few days ago talking about how iDubbbz was posting cringe, how somebody who the internet loved for the longest time now seems to be becoming a totally washed up loser. A guy whose entire brand on YouTube for the longest time was the fact that he said the N-word with the hard R and the F slur is now going after people and punishing them for telling edgy jokes, something that at one point he was a strong defendant of and advocated for. In my last video talking about iDubbbz, I spoke about how his influencer boxing event, Creator Clash, was under controversy for kicking out one of the fighters on the card. This fighter was an OG YouTuber named Froggy Fresh.
Cause I am the baddest of them all. If you ain't about money, then I don't mess with y'all.
This white boy got some flow, I can't lie. Froggy Fresh had a boxing event with Chris Raygun, which was on the Creator Clash card, meaning if you bought a ticket to Creator Clash and you went to the arena, you were going to see this guy, Froggy Fresh, box Chris Raygun, another big YouTuber. Now, if you bought a ticket, that's not what you're going to be seeing, because Froggy Fresh was removed from the fight entirely because he tweeted a joke about iDubbbz's wife's OnlyFans. Alright, you know what, pause, let's rewind the clock a little bit, okay, let's go back to 2020. In 2020, iDubbbz faced some backlash because his wife announced that she would be starting an OnlyFans. A lot of people on the internet criticized iDubbbz for this, saying that it's actually pathetic how the woman you're married to is now going on the internet posting naked photos of herself for any random Reddit-addicted loser to, you know, touch himself to. People were saying, bro, this is your wife, not the internet's wife. Understandably. Now, this prompted iDubbbz to make an entire video talking about how he's cool with his wife, like, putting OnlyFans of herself on the internet, and that was its own entire thing. Now, it's been about 3 years since that, and, you know, this wife of his is still doing OnlyFans, which I truthfully still don't understand why she does it, right? Like, you know, they don't need the money, they don't need the exposure, like, I genuinely don't get it. Like, is Anissa, that's iDubbbz's wife, is she so passionate about making adult content for 400-pound men who have recently placed an Uber Eats order to touch themselves to? Like, I don't really get it, but yeah, that's what she does. She does OnlyFans, and I think it's absolutely fair game to make fun of her for doing it. It's not a respectable career path, and it's not even like she's doing it out of necessity, right? Like, she's literally set for life. So jokes and roasts about her OnlyFans decision are absolutely on the table. And Froggy Fresh, the previously mentioned creator who was banned from Creator Clash, was banned from the event because he made a joke about this decision of a career. He basically said that if he lost his fight to Chris Raygun, that he would subscribe to Anissa's OnlyFans, which I'm gonna be honest, like, if we're talking edge factor, it's not even that edgy. Like, would you rather some bi-curious Discord mod come on Twitter and say, hey, iDubbbz's wife, just so you know, I paid $5 today to pay for your OnlyFans. I'm actually headed over to CVS right now to pick up some lotion. Thanks for the content, you guys rock. Like, would you rather somebody make that announcement or somebody just, like, playfully poke fun at it? I feel like it would be the latter, right? And you have to understand, Froggy Fresh didn't even, like, make fun of the career path. All he said was that if he lost the fight, he would pay for the OnlyFans. That's not going out and calling your wife a That's not going out and saying that your wife should be ashamed or that she should switch career paths. All he's saying is that if he loses, he'll buy the OnlyFans. I don't understand what there is to be construed here. The conclusion that myself and many others came to is that iDubbbz is such an insecure person about his wife's career choice because he actually deep down understands and comprehends that it is a sad and pathetic and unnecessary career choice, that anybody who speaks candidly or even makes jokes about this career choice emasculates him and makes him feel very vulnerable and sad. Now, here's the clip that got Froggy Fresh banned. Now, you tell me if this was really, like, you know, damning.
Amphetamines couldn't save Hitler, and they can't save you either. On April 15th, if I don't hurt you beyond what anybody could have imagined, I will be so disappointed in myself that I will subscribe to Anissa's OnlyFans.
Now, after this decision was made to remove him from the fight, there was a load of pushback on Twitter from people basically saying, like, what's wrong with you? He did nothing wrong. He made edgy jokes, just like how you used to make edgy jokes, iDubbbz. And you're removing him from the fight for that reason? That makes no sense. If anything, he's drawing more attention to the fight by, you know, making some controversy, pushing the boundaries with what's allowed to be said in terms of shit talk. He's just drawing eyeballs to your event, which, by the way, in case you didn't know, is a charity event. This whole thing thing is done in order to raise money for charity. So you would think at the end of the day, iDubbbz would be like, yeah, I guess my wife's getting like partially roasted, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, the more people that pay attention to the event, the more money will be raised for charity. But no, iDubbbz takes it personally and gets offended so greatly that he bans this fighter. So obviously there was a huge wave of backlash from Twitter, people saying, what's wrong with you? This guy didn't say anything that wrong. And that it's especially ironic that a person like iDubbbz, whose entire brand of humor for the longest time was the fact that he would push comedic boundaries and say things that you weren't supposed to say, is now punishing somebody for saying a joke. So what happened is you had all of these massive YouTubers on Twitter, you know, just to throw out some names, you had Critical, Omni, Keemstar, PackGod, Some Ordinary Gamers, or Mudahar, all advocating for Froggy Fresh to be re-added to the fight card. Advocating for Froggy Fresh to be re-added to the card wasn't the hot take, it wasn't a fringe opinion, it was like the overall consensus from most YouTubers talking about this. So you would think that because all these YouTubers with credibility are saying that Froggy Fresh should be re-added to the card and that it's not too late to undo their mistake, that of course iDubbbz would have reversed his decision and re-added Froggy Fresh. They were saying, yeah, no hard feelings, if you undo it now, nobody's gonna be mad. But no, iDubbbz doubles down and says, yeah, actually Froggy Fresh, yeah, you can't be on this card. And he comes out with this response. As you may be aware, we recently announced Froggy Fresh would be leaving the Creator Clash 2 ticket. We want to provide some additional information about the rationale for this decision to help clarify some of the online chatter. We have a legally binding code of conduct that each of our Creator Clash 2 fighters are held to, the violation of which is grounds for termination. Unfortunately, there were several violations made by Froggy Fresh during his tenure with Creator Clash this year. The Creator Clash 2 team, inclusive of the production company, takes violations seriously and made several unsuccessful attempts to address them directly with Froggy Fresh in hopes that we would work together to get things back on track. When it became clear that the exhibited behavior wasn't stopping, at risk to the other fighters, fans, and others involved in the event, the Creator Clash 2 team made the collective decision to move forward without Froggy Fresh on the ticket. Our number one priority is ensuring Creator Clash 2 is a positive, safe, welcoming space for everyone. We look forward to kicking off an amazing event and raising a lot of money for charity. Creator Clash and iDubbbz have already donated 50 grand for each of Froggy Fresh's supported charities, Kids Cancer Foundation, Nick Lost Children's Hospital, for a total of 100K. They will also remain beneficiaries of the money raised throughout the event itself. The fighters have all been working so hard and can't wait to get into the ring. Let's focus on their fights, not any that may exist online. Creator Clash 2. Okay, so a few points of this response that I want to touch on. So the first thing is that apparently Creator Clash is a positive, safe, and welcoming space for everyone. Here are 3 reasons why that doesn't make any sense. 1, it's an event literally centered around people punching each other in the hopes that they punch the other person so hard that they lose consciousness. People die from playing this sport. People get life-changing, life-ruining injuries and concussions from playing this sport. How is anything that occurs here safe? Even with the best referees humanly possible, and you can have like an EMS on standby, you are still hosting an event centered around 2 people punching each other as hard as they can, trying to knock somebody else out. I get what they're trying to go for. Oh yeah, we're trying to make this a safe space for everybody, but dude, it's a boxing event. No, it's not gonna work. It doesn't work like that. It is strange and unusual how you're like prioritizing the mental health of people involved in Creator Clash rather than the physical health. Because if your goal is to have creators compete in something, but you want the thing that they're competing in to be like safe and inclusive, okay, then do like a Go Fish tournament. The whole notion that we have to make fist-to-fist combat sport positive, safe, fun, and inclusive is ridiculous. This is like a primal-ass activity, and you're telling me you're like worried about how people are feeling on the internet? Okay. But here's the thing, right? Maybe I'd hear you out if like this dude severely said something like ridiculously out of pocket. Like if Froggy Fresh is going on Twitter saying some like absolutely insane shit. Like if Froggy Fresh had a Kanye moment on the timeline, then maybe I would understand your decision to remove him from the card. But all he did was make a totally fair and funny joke about your wife's OnlyFans, who you are okay with her doing. So that joke, I think, is safe, positive, fun, and inclusive. But even if you thought it wasn't, you're doing a boxing event, so it doesn't really make sense for things to be safe and inclusive. Next thing I want to point out about that safe and inclusive thing is we're literally talking about somebody who the majority of his fan base, like I said at the beginning, came from the fact that he made jokes about other people. His comedy came at other people's expense. He was not being safe and inclusive in the majority of his content that got him the platform platform that, you know, he has now. So it's just strange to me that when somebody does like 1/4 of a fortune cookie of the amount of like edgy humor that iDubbbz did in his prime, that iDubbbz of all people is gonna be the one to condemn that and punish it. Like, get a grip, dude. The lack of self-awareness here is embarrassing, and the fact that you're supposed to be taken seriously as a professional who's gonna run this event, but now you're gonna go on Twitter and ignore all the feedback from YouTubers telling you that you should add this guy back to your fight and that it was wrong for you to remove him, kind of just shows us that maybe you're not meant to be hosting boxing events. Maybe host like fidget spinner competitions. Who can spin their fidget spinner the fastest? That seems like it would be more up your alley, my friend. Anyways, Keemstar hosted this Twitter space with Froggy Fresh himself, where Froggy explains a lot of his perspective on what's been going on, and I think it's actually pretty informative, so I'm gonna play it.
So before we do that, it was a good thing that they donated $100,000 to Froggy Fresh's charities. Like, you know, at least that's good out of this. But we didn't really learn anything. If he had multiple violations, what were they? Froggy, speak on this. Do you know anything about what they're talking about?
No.
They said they contacted you multiple times or attempted to, and they couldn't get a hold of you. What are they?
No. I got contacted like a handful of times total, period, about anything, which is not a big deal. Like, I don't need people to call me or nothing, but like the third time Ian ever called me was after Sam Hyde retweeted me. And like, I don't even want to get into all that right now. Like, that's probably later. But like, as far as any offenses, when I was in Providence, Justin Tracy called me like once and texted and asked if I had time to talk. I was training with Sam the entire time I was there. I asked if he could communicate through text or email, please. And I never got a text or email. And the next time that I was contacted was a text from Justin Tracy to ask if I'd seen the email that I was terminated.
And you said before that was like 5 minutes before they announced it on Twitter.
It was like maybe it was in between 5 to like maybe 15 minutes, something like that.
So, Boblax, could you read the line about them like numerous attempts of contacting me, or what is the exact statement?
Yeah, they said like there was numerous attempts to contact Froggy Fresh unsuccessfully about multiple violations. So that's what they said. I guess maybe there was multiple instances where Froggy, you know, made jokes that they don't like, and they reached out and they're like, "Hey, can you not do that?" Maybe, but you know, Froggy would know. So Froggy, what do you think these violations are?
I mean, I wouldn't know. They haven't told me what the violations were.
Look, if his violations were online behavior, right? I mean, you have every commentary person. You got Dromeler, you got Phil DeFranco, you got Moist Critical, you got all these people looking into it, trying to figure out why he got kicked off the card. And the only thing we can come up with is the OnlyFans line and potentially training with Sam Hyde. That's it. That's the only thing we got.
So Froggy Fresh is claiming that although iDubbbz is stating publicly that he tried to reach out to him in order to sort things out about his online behavior before actually making the decision to ban him from the fight, Froggy claims that iDubbbz never really reached out to him. He never explained what these violations were that got him removed from the card, leaving the only main conclusion to be drawn by the public that it was because of his OnlyFans comment, which did offend Anissa. But we have no reason to believe that Froggy Fresh is lying, because why would Froggy Fresh actively ignore requests or contacts from iDubbbz? Do you think Froggy Fresh wants to be kicked out of a fight that he joined to begin with? Do you think that he wants to be kicked out of a fight where he's going to be raising money for charity? It doesn't make any sense. Of course he doesn't. So considering that he wants to be a part of the fight, if iDubbbz were to reach out to him, obviously he would entertain that. He would respond. But it's seeming like that's not what's happening.
Yeah, I can't think of any other violation that like sticks out in my mind for what could be considered one. Maybe every time he went back and forth with the mom was a repeated violation. So there's like 3 maybe. I have no clue what the logic there is.
Harley just texted me. He wants on. We will definitely have Harley on. I just want to get through this because Froggy Fresh put out two or three tweets in reference to the statement. One was about the call with iDubbbz. Can you talk about that?
Honestly, you can even bring Harley on because I know they sent Harley to come fight for him. So like let Harley talk too, and then I can talk about whatever.
And then also you put out a tweet that they're threatening a lawsuit. So that's out there as well, which is, I mean, how much more overkill can you get? But I guess we'll bring Harley on to see what he has to say.
Okay, so before this guy who defends iDubbbz joins the space, I want to actually talk about that thing that Keemstar just mentioned, a lawsuit. There have been vague talks about some sort of lawsuit involving Froggy Fresh and Creator Clash if things don't get sorted out. Now, this is obviously over money because, as you know, it costs money to train for a boxing event. I believe Froggy Fresh's training cost about $10,000 to $15,000. Now, this is all money that is down the drain because he's not going to be able to fight anymore. So what's up with that money? Is there going to be a lawsuit about that? I don't know. Would Froggy's case hold up in a legal setting? I also don't know. But all this to say is we're getting into some really stupid territory, all because of jokes that were made on the internet. This is now at the point where people are discussing whether or not this should go to a court of law because iDubbbz got salty and made a bad decision over internet beef. You do understand right now, you could still get Froggy Fresh back on your card and everybody would think it's a good decision and we could all put this behind us. I don't even know if iDubbbz is really even this stubborn or if it's his wife that's kind of pressuring him into behaving this way. But who knows, man? Maybe iDubbbz is so far down the rabbit hole that he's not even aware that this is a bad look anymore.
Like everyone's acting surprised. You disrespect the owner of the event. You got removed.
Well, I mean,
Like,
I'm shocked. I can tell you, I'm absolutely shocked. Harley, I'm shocked
Can I just say something real quick before this continues? If someone doesn't have a YouTube channel, please do not say their first and last name on here. They're just real people with real jobs. They're not in the weirdo YouTube world like we are. Don't say their first and last name.
Okay. Anyhow, I'm shocked. You said don't act shocked. I'm shocked. I think the internet is shocked when, you know, these jokes, and we've seen these jokes and these tweets be made, and the reaction was to kick him off the card because we're talking about iDubbbz, like the YouTuber iDubbbz and his wife, a Twitch streamer, Anissa. Like, they're public figures. We know them. We are shocked by the reaction of kicking Froggy Fresh off the card based on the tweets.
Why?
We're shocked. That's like
why are
ridiculous.
you shocked? Imagine you hired me to do something, okay? And you hired me. I was gonna go do it. And then the week before, I went and I hung out with H3H3. And the day I came back, I went, Team, fuck your daughter. Would you not think that that's charged in some strange way?
Okay, this guy's absolutely onto nothing. So this guy is basically defending iDubbbz by making the argument that what Froggy Fresh did, Froggy Fresh went to train with Sam Hyde, who is somebody who iDubbbz doesn't like, and then afterward went and roasted iDubbbz's wife's career choice. And the iDubbbz defender asks Keemstar how he would feel if he went and trained with H3H3, who is Keemstar's enemy, and then after training with H3H3 said, hey Keemstar, f your daughter. The problem with this is saying, hey Keemstar, f your daughter is way worse than saying, if I lose this fight, I'll subscribe to Anissa's OnlyFans. I think everybody knows this. It's a pretty false comparison, and I don't think Froggy Fresh making the OnlyFans joke was made in bad taste, unlike what this iDubbbz defender is saying is a comparable thing about Keemstar's daughter.
Well, I mean, there's an element there, like, you were so caught up on the lore and
I'm not
understanding
sure
how
that
deep things are. Like,
I'm not sure that Froggy Fresh said anything about anyone's kids. Like,
no, he said he made the hint, like, oh, I'll subscribe to your OnlyFans. Like, he downplayed the OnlyFans, and then that just kickstarted stuff. And then I looked at Anissa's mom's Twitter account. How do we know her name? I went and I looked at that. How do you know that person's name? How do we know that that's her Twitter account? How do we know that? Where does it say her name?
Do you not want to say names of not public people or not?
No, I saw the name that he tweeted, but I just looked at that account. Where's the name? It doesn't say it there. Froggy, where did you get her name?
I mean, I've heard it around the internet, bro.
Okay.
Also,
those
Harley,
places where you would hear that around the internet, bro, like, I think those aren't the best places to, like, maybe feed into you having a positive attitude about the creators. It sounds like you've been in some weird places of the internet, and you kind of tweeted about it a bit. You kind of leaned into that a bit.
Well,
like,
Harley, are you saying that it's not her mom?
No, I'm just so curious because I went and I did it and I was like, okay.
I just want to make sure that you're not saying that because, like,
no, I went and I looked and I was like, oh, so her name is not there. Who found out that this is a name? It looks like a burner account.
So that was the other point of controversy that I actually forgot to mention, which was that there was this account on Twitter that a lot of people were speculating was Anissa's mother that was actually going after Froggy Fresh himself, saying like, oh, how dare you make fun of my daughter and this and that, but there was no proof that this actually was Anissa's mom. It was sort of speculation, and that just sort of added more controversy to the entire thing. Now, we still don't know really if this was Anissa's mother, but I will say if it was, it probably wouldn't help Froggy Fresh at all. This drama's gotten pretty cancerous, and I don't think that Froggy Fresh is going to be added back to the card. I mean, I think that it would still be good if they did, and I don't think it's too late to do so, but seeing how far iDubbbz is willing to dig his heels in, it doesn't seem like things are going to change. But I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts about this entire situation in the comments down below. Anyways, if you made it to the end of this video, comment down Oyster, like and subscribe if you haven't yet already, follow my social medias, links are all down below, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Goodbye.